Foolish mortals. The great mistake you have made. Welcome to the most spooky time of year. October 1st. 5 weeks of Halloween, and we are here to deliver you something absolutely terrifying.
Hello, my name is Fred Stewart, and welcome to Haunts, Graves, and Omens. With me, as always, my lovely co-host.
It's me. It's Taylor.
Hello, Tay.
Hello.
And with us, running cameras and sound, is Bill Bernard.
Howdy, howdy.
Oh man, I'm visible in Bill's camera. I just saw. I was like, hello, it's me again.
I have quite the episode for us today. Does anyone have any news stories they want to share? Anybody? Anything? Bill? More aliens? Aliens here yet?
No aliens that I know of. I'm anxiously waiting for what's going to come of everything next month. But I mean, they made a big deal of the rapture. We survived that.
Yeah, survived the rapture.
To see what October has in store, and I'm just hoping that Halloween's going to be dope.
Oh, Halloween is absolutely going to be dope, especially here on HGO.
Mm-hmm.
I have quite the story to tell, and I'm very much looking forward to that. I see the dog is tired.
I like in the there you go.
That's going to be great in post-production.
She was all settled, and then Bill threw the ball for her 3 more times. So
Blame it on Bill.
It's all Bill's fault.
8 p.m. 8 p.m. on fucking ABC. Blame it on Bill.
Blame it on Bill. No, that could actually be. You know what? I promise I will make that one of my Netflix stand-up specials. I'm all about it.
Blame it on Bill is a great title.
Yeah.
Well, allow me to set some sort of dark ambiance.
I'm going to try and move my mic this way so it doesn't pick up as much of the heavy breathing that is currently to my right.
Yes.
That is also my heavy breathing, because I'm waiting with much anticipation for what Fred has.
Yeah, if you hear that, that's actually just Bill. That's not even spirit.
I'm hoping the ambience helps kind of to stop the sound.
Well, we picked up a different sound now. Yeah. Now we got biting, licking, and everything in between.
Yeah, well, that's actually going to fit along with this story.
Oh,
okay.
Well, you ready to get into it, all of you?
I'm ready.
Let's get in.
All right. For as long as humans have walked the earth, there has been the belief that creatures of otherworldly nature hunt them. Stalking shadows seem to follow, waiting for their moment to strike. And it wasn't until the early 1800s that we finally came up with a name for these hellish beasts. Vampires.
Oh, goodness.
And when I say vampires, I don't mean the ones who would sparkle in the forest around Forks, Washington, or even the hot, leather-bound vampires from the Underworld series. Believe me, I regret that. I mean vampires, like that of 30 Days of Night.
Oh.
Creatures waiting for the perfect moment to strike, the true bump in the night.
Oh, okay. I was thinking you forgot one vampire, and I actually tried to dress as this, but I did not nail it, which is Blade.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, I tried to do it, but I started out trying to do like a post-apocalyptic Blade, but it ended up just being like I couldn't get my fangs in, so I just looked like some random guy who was like a refugee from some sort of thing in the future. So I just kept saying like, oh yeah, I survived the hurricane of 2033. and I had all of these different things that I ran with, but I couldn't sink my teeth into the teeth.
Great.
So we'll save that for another Halloween.
But where does this belief of these blood-sucking beasts come from? Well, that's exactly what we're here to find out. Since this is the 1st of October, I figured it would be a good time to dive into the true stories of real-life vampires. Starting out with what could be possibly the most violent person we've ever covered on the podcast.
Ooh.
Born on August 7th, 1560, this person will be later have a speculated kill count of 600 plus.
Yo.
This is the story of Elizabeth Bathory, a.k.a. Elizabeth Bathory, a.k.a. the Bloody Countess.
The Bloody Countess.
The Bloody Countess. Anybody familiar with Elizabeth Bathory?
No.
No. I thought when you talked about the kill count there, I thought you were gonna mention like Vlad the Impaler or something.
Funny, I believe this takes place actually just before Vlad the Impaler.
I'm
So,
locked in. Let's do it.
If I remember correctly, because I was gonna do actually I have a whole thing here somewhere in here about Vlad the Impaler where I talk about Vlad the Impaler, but I'm like, we're actually gonna save that for a future episode.
Oh, okay.
Because
Cool.
it's as much as this is a confusing story,
Yeah.
that's even more confusing because a lot of this is based off of like he said, she said, he said, she said, they said, the bird said, then a mirror said to me information.
Oh,
like
okay.
it's like very all over the place, but a
Yeah.
lot of this is actually documented from court,
Oh.
Wow.
which we'll get
Okay.
to. Elizabeth spent her time at said castle in Nibator, Royal Hungary. It was a massive estate for its time, which makes sense since her father was Baron George the Sixth Bathory of the said branch of the family, brother of Andrew Bonaventura of Bathory, who was the Viviod of Transylvania, which is basically another word for a warlord. He was basically in charge of like the armies, right?
Okay.
As for her mother, Baroness Anna Bathory, Bathory, I want to say her actual Hungarian name. She was the daughter of Stephen Bathory of Solomoyo, Palpatine of Hungary. With all that makes sense, or that makes Elizabeth the niece of a different Stephen Bathory, who was the prince. Oh, sorry. With all that makes her the niece of Stephen Bathory, who was also the Prince of Transylvania, and he later became the King of Poland.
Okay.
Okay.
What I'm saying is his family was super rich,
Okay.
Yeah.
very, very, very influential. And if you were listening to when I was explaining like Elizabeth's family tree, you might have noticed something. Anyone?
I'm gonna guess that there's a circle in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll run it back. So her father, right?
Yeah.
George the Sixth Bathory.
Yes.
She had an uncle on that side, Andrew Bathory.
Okay.
On her mother's side, Anna Bathory. And then her brother, right? So her other uncle on her mom's side, Stephen Bathory. Starting to ring any bells? Anybody?
It's all the same last name.
Yeah. So
Yeah, the family tree is a circle.
that's right. Her own mother and father were in fact cousins. Their family tree is a NASCAR track.
Oh, okay. So they got. I wonder if they got that Habsburg jaw.
They did. They did actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one thing they actually talked about. I watched this. There was actually there was a lot of like, because I was reading like documents from the 1500s, right?
Yeah.
That have been translated,
Yeah.
and so there were some words that I could not necessarily understand. I had to go and like look up what this word means.
Right.
And once we get to it, I'll talk about it. But I swear to God, the guy who did it is a vampire, and I might pull it up and play it on my phone so everyone can hear it. The dude who reads it's a fucking vampire.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to teach you how to say a word. And you're like, what the fuck? Anyway, because of inbreeding, it is believed that Elizabeth suffered from epilepsy,
Ooh.
experiencing convulsions from an early age. On top of that, it is suspected that she also experienced migraines as described from letters later written to her husband. She had brutal migraines.
Oh, okay.
Like hardcore migraines constantly throughout her entire life up until her death.
Same.
Yeah. Up top, dude. Just like Elizabeth.
Not entirely.
But as you might imagine, the brutality she would later perform wasn't due to her condition, but rather a combination of multiple things. See? Elizabeth grew up in the age of the Renaissance, a particularly violent time if you were a peasant under the control of a noble. If you were convicted of a crime, the punishment was often more gruesome than the actual crime itself. On top of that, Hungary was in full-blown witch-killing mode, sending many to death at the stake. But many crimes were often left punished by landlords, like Elizabeth's family, meaning that they were not only responsible for and exposed to the violence of medieval punishment. you have your kings and your queens of the actual country.
Yeah.
And then my button came on. And then don't look at that. And then I'll put this right back here. And then but it's the all these little sections are controlled by like these rich families, right? And it is their job to be like, hey, the Bathory family, you're in charge of the exed of you're in charge of like this place and this place and this place. You have all these castles, right? Like you're in charge of taxes and shit, and people come up and be like, Bill, you haven't paid your taxes. I need you to pay your taxes. 3 gold. That's all I ask.
3 gold. Interesting that my mind immediately went to this, that we were talking about vampires, we're talking about taxes, and I already brought up Blade, so there we go, Wesley Snipes.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, which hand do you wipe with? Left or right?
I would say I wipe with my right hand.
Tank is right. You're a lefty from now on. That's basically what would happen. Is they would, if especially during the whole rise up of the, like witch killing, and all that stuff. Like, I feel like we ever done an episode on the Salem witch trials?
No.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
But the, it's the whole like hysteria aspect of it, because around this time, like being Protestant was like Protestantism is like starting to actually happen. Like it's starting around this time. And Elizabeth actually is Protestant.
Oh,
and her family is like Catholic.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of like, it's like it's a new religion, it's blasphemous and it's all this shit. But she's a boss bitch. She don't care. But I would love to do an episode talking about all the world's different like witch hunts, because it was really, really hardcore during this time.
Oh, yeah.
And in particular, it was said in 1566, when she was just a child, Elizabeth witnessed a particularly gruesome execution that, quote, a local gypsy woman that was accused of kidnapping and selling children into slavery.
Ooh.
You might imagine this woman was hanged or even beheaded. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Nope. So much worse. See, it's the Renaissance. It's the Middle Ages, right? Instead, this woman was sewn alive into a dying horse's stomach, and it said that Elizabeth found this quite amusing, as it, quote, looked funny, as the woman's head was poking out of the head of the horse until they shoved her head back in and sewed her inside.
Ugh.
I'm going to have to disagree with you, Liz. I think that was not as funny.
No, that's actually pretty fucking sadistic. Like, wow.
Yeah, it's only the start.
Oh, it's only the start.
Yeah, because you gotta imagine she's going around with her family, who's like collecting the taxes, like, and they just like beat the fuck out of anyone who they want. Back around this time, you could just kill a peasant who wasn't like you were in charge of. Like, if they were in your castle, they're like, this is the person that brings you your ball towel or whatever, like towel for your balls.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're like, I didn't like the towels today. You could just kill them. And then, like, instead of it being a murder, the state would basically come in and be like, all right, you got to give the family like 20 gold.
Yep, we're gonna write off our losses.
Yep. That's exactly what happened. They literally just were like, whatever. Like, not much we can do now. But Elizabeth's life seemed full of violence at all turns, especially at an early age, as you might imagine, just building the mindset that she was a class above everyone else. In 1570, at the age of 10, her hand was promised to the 15-year-old Ferenc Nadache. As per the custom, she was sent to the court of her future mother-in-law to learn how to manage the house. And that doesn't mean like to manage the house of like how to clean the house, how to do whatever. To manage the house back then meant to like, your husband is often going to war.
Right.
Like that's what they do. Your job is to manage all the castles and all the diplomatic side of things. So like you're hosting other people that come through, and you're like whining and dining them and be like, oh, thank you, Bernard, for arriving at my castle here, Nadache, and I will give you the best wine that I have. And it's like a very, theatrical, fun thing.
Yeah.
That's basically the job.
Yeah.
Is then to go into village and be like, all right, peasants, what do you need? And they're like, water. And you're like, all right, I'll turn the mill back on. Quit crying.
Water? Like,
Have you tried liquor yet?
Yeah, have you been working hard enough? Like, you don't need water. You need to just quit worrying and start working. That's what we need.
Wait another, 30 years and we'll get fireworks. Won't that be exciting? I mean, you'll be dead because you'll be around the age of 30, but fireworks?
Please, sir, may I have some more?
Yeah, here, hold this bottle rocket. I heard if you grab it and hold it in your hands, you'll catch fairies. Anyway, but there was a rumor in 1574, when Elizabeth was 14, that Elizabeth actually got pregnant and birthed a daughter from a local peasant boy of around the same age, right?
Okay.
And like I said, it's this whole story, if it wasn't like full of gold and glamour, is just a white trash story from the South.
Literally.
We're like, yeah, my mom and daddy were just, they're cousins and that. My boy knocked me up and he lives in the dirt, but I don't live in the dirt. I live in a double wide. It's like, it's the same.
Yeah.
You just get rid of the accent. It just becomes white trash. That's all it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, Frederick was naturally pissed off and hunted down the boy, castrated him, and then had him thrown to a pack of wild dogs, be torn apart until he died. Much to Elizabeth's delight.
Oh.
Wow. That, I can say, they say that diamonds are a girl's best friend, but disemboweled children, that'll win over Elizabeth. She's big time about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's crazy because, if Nadache was 15 when they got, their hand promised, right?
Uh-huh.
And that would make him 4 years later, that make him fucking 19, right?
Sure.
And so it's like, he is, just the boy himself in a way.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm just going to fucking castrate and kill that guy. And these people are supposed to be married to one another. And it's like, you'll see how that works out later on. Because it's a match made in hell. So anyways, the child is actually handed over to a trusted woman for a huge fee, basically just to give her a bunch of money, a bunch of money, and they're send her to Wallachia, which is where Vlad the Impaler was from.
Okay.
In Transylvania, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that turns out great.
Yeah, so it sends her to Wallachia and goes never to return during while Elizabeth's alive, right? It's not in Transylvania, excuse me. Never to return to Transylvania during Elizabeth's life. But Wallachia is Vlad the Impaler, which is kind of fun. I also just got done watching the entire series of Castlevania, so I definitely had vampires on the brain when I was writing this.
Okay.
It was kind of fun watching that series and then writing this episode because I'm like, oh wow, they actually did pretty good job. All these places kind of looked like how it was around that time.
Interesting.
It was very, very cool. And on May 8th, 1575, Nadache and Elizabeth get married.
Oh.
The celebrations lasted for 3 days. 3 days. And as a gift, Nadache gifted Elizabeth a castle in case you were curious on what the gift registry looked like. No air fryers or decorative plate sets. Thanks to this marriage, 2 of the most powerful Hungarian families were now joint, and it was no longer a big circle.
Hey,
Yeah.
break the circle and aim for something better.
Yeah, it's
Square? Or, it all
Yeah.
connects back.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's a rhombus. I don't know. We're gonna bust out all of our
Trapezoid.
Dodecahedron.
Yes. Yes.
It's a fucking hexagon. Just
A circle, but with more steps.
exactly.
Yep.
And it was around this time that Elizabeth actually witnessed more death, as her cousin, the different Stephen Bathory, in a fit of anger, had a peasant revolt happen against him,
Mm-hmm.
and they fucking lost.
The peasants?
The peasants lost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that probably was not
And
good.
so, in a fit of anger, he began to cut the ears and noses off the peasants that fueled the rebellion against him. Apparently, using burning hot pliers to get the job done. Just ripping and tearing the flesh off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
He did that until he died. And then they would put another one in the chair and be like, all right, you're up.
You know,
And they did that over and over again until there was nobody left.
I think all the time about the simple fact that, like, they talk about ancient China and
Yeah.
there was like 1 million people that would die in like a flood or something like that, and then it's like you hear about stories like this and it's like, I would hope that if I'm the peasant who's getting eviscerated, I die quickly, because I think it'd be agonizing seeing all of these people in front of me, and then you're just like, fuck, man. This is what my life has been. I've been shoveling around in some asshole's castle, and now I'm about to have my ears torn off. And I won't even get to listen to any, like, dope-ass music. Well,
I won't even get to listen to techno.
yes, like, that's just the life of a peasant.
Doesn't even know what Beethoven is yet.
Oh, God. Only one can wish.
So with all that I've provided thus far, it comes at no surprise that Elizabeth was a little cuckoo bananas, as a legal term goes. She was, exposed to a lot of violence, and yeah, it's really not a surprise how this story will turn out. So Nadashe and Elizabeth, if you want me to call her the correct name, were quick to have several children, only 3 of which survived, 2 daughters and a son. 3 years following their marriage, Nadashe went to war against the Turks, battling for full independence. At the time, Elizabeth was traveling between numerous castles to oversee her estates and servants, and it was said that she was actually quite successful at this, and received no complaints from peasants about her. Additionally, her children later in life would actually say that she was actually quite a loving mother. And it's funny because I say that she had no complaints against her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she really didn't. At this time, peasants would write down their complaints about their noble that's above them,
yeah,
right? And basically kind of send it off to the next office up, above her, and be like, hey, she's like abusing us or not letting us eat or whatever, and then basically the government would come down and be like, hey, you gotta fucking let people eat,
Yeah.
But everybody was like, no, she's pretty cool, pretty nice. And then there's a switch later on that changes things. So while Elizabeth was going full hearts and minds with the local people, Nadashe was in full-blown medieval combat. It's around this time that he earned the title of the Black Knight, known for his brutality towards prisoners of war. In his free time, he will throw up a pair of Turkish soldiers and catch them on the tips of his swords, behead a prisoner, and then play catch with their head, or the infamous honey punishment, which I'll get to in a moment.
Oh, no.
So it's safe to say that their relationship was a match made in hell. Oh, they're just perfect for one another. Isn't it so sweet?
Yeah.
They're just like, I love you too. They're just fucking stabbing people. Yeah, they're crazy. So, eventually, Nadashe Ferdinand returns home from the war, and he's very excited to teach his wife all the fucked up things he learned. Very excited. He's like, honey, you're gonna love this, right? You're gonna love the way you look. Covered in blood.
Covered in blood.
One of which being the aforementioned honey punishment.
Okay.
So Nadashe ordered a young servant girl to be coated in honey, leaving her outside to be bitten by ants and other bugs or wildlife. And when the tortured soul would be so exhausted from the punishment, he had another trick for his wife, and he called it Kick the Stars, which consisted of putting a piece of oil-soaked paper in between the fingers of the servant and then lighting it on fire to rejuvenate them.
Dog, I don't think they understand rejuvenation, because that is definitely depletion of a person.
They're awake now.
Well, yes, that is true. That is very true.
You
That's-
have a point.
Yeah, it's fucking pretty wild. Elizabeth was also gifted a glove consisting of black razor sharp claws, which she would eventually use against her victims. It was described as like a Freddy Krueger-like claw. Had all these blades on their fingers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But perhaps Elizabeth's love of death and misery is actually rooted in something darker, as described by publication Elizabeth Bathory, A True Story, which I want to give some credit to Dr. Alexandria Boskowitz for the research paper, because that's where a lot of this comes from. Let's see here. So, quote, when Nadalche was on his military expeditions, Bathory, and numerous romances, she was traveling and visiting relatives, including Aunt Clara, who lived in Vienna, Austria, as you might imagine, and was said to introduce introduce her to the world of licentiousness and lesbian orgies. And Clara's royal servant, Thorquil, introduced the Countess into the world of dark powers. In her husband's absence, she invited self-proclaimed sorcerers, seers, witches, and alchemists to the castle. When she began to show up with a man of pale complexion and unnaturally sharp teeth, dressed in black, local villagers who believed in vampires began to call her the Beast of Suzette. Over time, Elizabeth became a mistress in preparing medicines, stock, and potions. In one of her letters to her husband, she described an extremely effective way of casting spells. Quote, "Catch a black hen and beat it to death with a white cane. Keep the blood and smear a little of it on your enemy. If you get the chance to smear it on his body, attain it from one of his garments and smear it. Using blood as a conduit for magic that is just like that of the vampire."
Wow. I was going to say, when Daddy's away, Mama likes to play, but it gets a little wild.
Yeah, I want to find this video of let's see, because I just have to play it for y'all, of like when I learned, because I wanted to learn how to say that word, and I still probably butchered it, right? But it tell me this dude does not sound like a vampire. Okay, this is the
Yeah, that sounds like a dead-ass vampire.
Julian McQuell. Licentiousness, but I had to.
Licentiousness.
I just had to. When I heard that the first time, I was like, "Is this guy a fucking vampire?"
Probably.
Licentiousness.
Like, I feel like if he starts hitting on you and making like really interesting takes, not on your form, but like, oh man, like how much liquids do you drink? Do you got like a
You a big liquids guy?
Are you
or?
a big liquids guy? Do you
You
like,
big liquids guy?
Do you like a?
I'm a big liquids guy.
Do you donate blood? Can I check out your blood? Like, I want your fucking blood. Give me your blood. Like, I think that there's many warning signs there, but yeah, no, don't ever talk to the pale guy at the bar who's eyeballing you and hasn't blinked for like hours.
Or do and see what happens.
Yeah,
It's
a story.
It's the quote from the story that makes this whole story quite strange, because you don't hear about for the rest of the story, but it's the quote, like, when she began to show up with a man of pale complexion and unnaturally sharp teeth who dressed in black. It's like,
You could find that in Portland.
well, yeah, sure, but that is just, someone who doesn't talk to their dad anymore. Like, this is something completely different.
Sure.
And it's just, I don't know, I always thought that was quite strange. But anyway, vampires. Elizabeth began to really ramp up her torture castle around 1585, and it was said that the screams of the tortured were supposed to relieve her nagging migraines, which I feel like would do quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Anybody? Yeah, and because of that, she quickly understood that maids working at the castle were an easy target, and she could freely use and abuse them as she saw fit. Even the smallest mistakes were met with immediate and brutal punishments. Accidentally brushing her hair too hard, you're getting slapped or beaten. Acting lazy, she would cut off your fingers, or even worse, in my opinion, take a needle and stab it underneath your fingernails.
Fuck.
No thanks.
Naked servant girls were often covered in cold water and left to the elements, beaten or flogged with nettles, and as you might imagine, the torture only got more and more violent and brutal. Victims' bodies were torn out with reddish hot pliers. Sometimes the victim's skin was scorched with a hot iron, or their mouth was dragged from the corners so long that it would tear completely.
Let's put a smile on that face.
Literally that.
Jesus.
Let's put a smile on that face of yours.
It dead ass.
It's fucking scary.
Yeah.
Because you imagine, like, we're a noble party. We're traveling. We're like, we're here to see Nattershay Castle in all its glory. And they're just walking, and she's just like ripping a fucking cheek out of a woman. And you're just like, bad time? Should I come back
later?
Okay, I'll come back. I'll come back later.
I'll.
Should we fucking say something about that? Should we call somebody?
I'm gonna go
Should we send a
wait in
bird?
the carriage.
It really begs the question: what is the fucking lifetime on someone in this person's like service? Like, is it like 3 months, a day? I'm honestly wondering.
So
the attrition's got to be hella fucking high.
For her actual span of her crimes is about 20 years total.
20 years.
20 years total of her actually brutally torturing everybody.
Yeah.
Particularly women.
Okay.
There's some sort of something going on in her. Obviously her mental mistake because she's torturing people, but like there's something deep rooted in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is quite odd.
I can't even imagine like working for this woman for 20 years. Like, do you get like a little token and like, hey, thanks for your service?
You get a T-shirt that says "I survived Elizabeth Castle."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually feel like that'd be a dope shirt to wear.
That'd be fucking sick. And just when things couldn't get any worse, they do. Don't worry. In 1601, Anna Darvulia, a witch described by the locals as, quote, a wild beast in a female body, very cool, became Elizabeth's personal servant and accomplice in her crime spree. Shortly after Anna moved in, Elizabeth began to change, not for the better. The mistress became crueler, her subjects later recalled. It was Darvulia who taught the Countess how to kill, but I feel as if she probably would have found it on her own anyways.
A lot of confidence in her.
Yeah, a lot of confidence. As you might imagine, the bodies were starting to stack up around the castle. Local pastors and clerics were called to the castle almost every day to collect coffins of the deceased. When questioned about the overwhelming amount of dead, Elizabeth had a plan. Cholera epidemic, she would say. Such a shame. But as more and more kept dying, everyone was getting pretty suspicious.
Yeah.
Like, the priest would actually show up at some points, and they'd basically like send a servant to go, like, because there was actually multiple servants that were helping her do this.
Right.
Be like, go fetch the pastor and bring him here, and they would go wander to town, you know, like they're hunchback, like, like my mistress expects you, and like they would, the priest would be like, all right, and then he showed up and there was coffins, and he's like, oh, it's weird you guys already have coffins ready, and she's like, yeah, don't even bother to just open them up, they're quite diseased.
Yeah.
And then he opened up one of them and it was empty, and he goes, why is this one empty? And they go, oh yeah, we just stacked two into one. And he was like, okay, it's pretty weird. And they were fucking cranking bodies out of here.
Oh yeah.
And it is also suspected there's a river that ran behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually also suspected that not only were they burying them on the grounds, and eventually that got too tiring, that they just gave up and started putting bodies in the river.
Ugh.
Oh my
so
goodness.
we have an actual amount that we know that was buried, right? Because of the priests and the clerics and stuff like that. But who fucking knows how many bodies they were dumping down the back?
That's insane.
Yeah. It's not great. So, in 1602, the present scholar Evaston Magyari publicly demanded the exhumation of the bodies. He also out Count Nadache together with another priest from the area to stop his wife's cruelty to the innocent. Instead, Nadache died on January 4th, 1604, after his injuries he had acquired in combat just days before finally took hold. Many locals believe Elizabeth herself or someone around her also contributed to her husband's death, but I feel like that's not true. But I do know for certain that her husband's death meant that there was no one there to stop her from going fully insane. Yeah, so after Nadache's death, Elizabeth moved to Chastise Castle, where she initially lived in a stronghold located near the church. Her lust for blood began to grow. It is said whenever she was stressed about traveling or having to do public appearances, she would attack her victims, biting their arms, cheeks, or necks, biting off pieces just to taste the blood.
Ooh.
Using razors, torches, and tongs to rip and tear the flesh. She also used to stitch seamstress's mouth shut. She did not like her new dress.
Shut that mouth up, bitch.
Literally that. It's fucking crazy. It's true vampiric behavior.
Yeah.
Like, there's actually a story, and I can't remember if I included it in here or not, where she's traveling to go meet with other nobles, and she just was like, fetch me a servant girl, and like they threw her in the carriage with her, and on the ride to like the castle, she beat this woman to death, like inside the carriage, just beat her to death, smeared the blood on her, and then just dumped her body on the roadside, and then was like, next.
Wow.
Yeah, she would just do this.
I mean,
on top of that, there's the whole legend of her bathing in blood. Are you familiar with that?
From you told me a little bit.
It is said that she had a bath and she would pour virgin blood on top of her, cover herself in blood to gain like this immortality of beauty, right? And there's a legend behind it where when her husband was still alive, they were in the town, right? And a witch, like her husband said something along to the witch of like, basically you're ugly, you know? Like, look at this decrepit old woman. And the witch looked at her and goes, you're gonna look like me soon.
Wow.
And the witch she got so obsessed with not looking like that, that when she would beat her servant bled onto her, right? And then was like, oh, this is kind of nice. And then just kept putting blood on her.
I feel like I'm gonna say something here, and if nobody's heard this, it's gonna be like totally strange. But I remember seeing on TV, like there was a string of celebrities that were using either like placenta blood, or I think it was like blood from like somebody who had like a circumcision or something.
Nice.
Because it was like a new fad that people were doing to look young, and I'm just like, I'd rather just look fucking old and get some Botox than be putting some random ass blood on me. But you know what? I've never tried it, and so what the hell do I know?
Sure.
You know, never too late to start. So the servants, the most trusted servants of the lady of the house were an ugly dwarf, this is actually in quotations, of Jan Javari, also known as Feiko. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. They already mentioned Anna Darvulia, nurse of the Countess's children. She was the nurse of the kids.
Okay.
Oh, good.
The lady who was torturing those people. Ilona Jo, witch Dartoria Savitias, called Dorka. Londres Katin Benicia, as well as an old local witch and poisoner, Boroska of Mojavia, Urzi Marjarova, whom Elizabeth began to see when Anna Darvulia became blind.
Oh, okay.
The binders had their specialities. Dorka liked to cut off fingers with scissors. Darvulia preferred to give 500 strokes with the whip. And Elizabeth liked everything. She loved torture. She loved to give torture. She loved to do it. So, Elonia later testified, quote, anywhere she went, she looked immediately for a place where she could torture the girls. A local resident heard from the servants that their mistress could neither eat nor drink if she had not previously seen one of the virgins from amongst her maids killed in a bloody way.
Ooh.
God, I'm starting to think Homegirl could like literally be an inspiration for some like dom mommies or some shit.
I'm sure. I'm sure it's been done. The Count's death reminded Elizabeth that she would not live forever. She was a single widow of 40, by the age of 40, ready to do anything to stop the destructive time. Every piece of her body was rubbed with new care products, which she brought from many journeys. For hours, her hair was pinned up in various ways. Rumor had it that when a servant girl made her hair inappropriately, Countess fell into a rage and massacred the girl, like the story I was talking about earlier.
Jesus.
After having washed the maid's blood from her face, she saw that her skin was smoother and softer. It was then that Bathory came up with the idea to take a bath in a tub lined with the blood and regain her former beauty.
Hey, it's all in a name, baby. Bathing in the bloodbath.
Yeah.
That's how we do it here.
She called Dorka and Fiocco, told them to undress the girl and hold her arms over a large vat. Then, she took a blade and cut the victim's arteries. When the maid bled, the Countess took a bath in the blood from which now her miraculous elixir of life gave her beauty once again.
Yeah.
Spooky.
Mm.
I know. I'm not one to shy away from blood. You know, like I've assisted those who were like injured at work and stuff like that. You know, who were bleeding pretty bad. I had one friend who got his hand stuck in equipment and it was like his hand was fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't shy away from blood, but this story makes me like, it makes like my hands all kind of chalky. You know, like I don't like it. Like I can just envision
Yeah.
like the feeling of it. It's just like I don't like it. I don't like it. I can never be a vampire. We're like,
no.
bring me chocolate milk immediately. Fetch me the greatest chicken wings you can find.
I feel like for me going as a vampire, I feel like I'd exclusively like go for people who just eat food that I can't afford. Because it's like I can't afford to get the filet mignon, but I can afford you. And I bet you taste great.
I bet you taste delicious. Like, imagine just a vampire, like, bites on the neck, and it's like cracking pepper on the side of the neck. Like, what are you doing? Like, you just taste a little gamey.
Yeah.
It tastes a little gamier than I expected. I'm sorry. It's like, is it me? It's like, no, it's not you. It's not you. It's just, it's kind of a me thing.
Still getting used to it.
Yeah. Like, how long have you been a vampire? I don't know, like 200 years? Like, you're just still getting used to it?
Call me a little salty, but I think you need some salt.
Just like pinching a little salt in there. Be like, can you put the salt on your hand and then I'll bite. Like, you ever done a tequila shot? They're like,
Oh, yeah.
They're like, I'm a peasant from the 1600s. What's tequila? It's like, never mind. Oh, there goes my things. No, not that episode. I need this episode instead.
It'd be like that.
It happens. But yeah, it's there's lots of stories about how she came into the way of wanting to allegedly bathe in blood.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually listened to a podcast, and I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called, unfortunately. But one of the hosts actually did the math of how much humans you would need to make a bathtub full of blood, and it was a lot. Well, it's like, I don't really think that's passable. But do I think it's possible that she filled the bathtub full of water, then slit somebody's throat? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you could dilute it with a little bit of water, maybe like 2 people, and then.
If you don't have any blood in your fridge, a store-bought is fine.
I feel like if you're out here murking people, like you really can't be a purist because you're gonna have to be going through a lot of people. Because it's like I think in the human body you got like 6 pints of blood if you drained it out perfectly. And I think a bathtub is probably going to take like 20 gallons or so.
Hold
you're
on.
right. Oh, we got the science.
How
We're
many
doing it.
pints of water in a bathtub?
Okay. Well, you do that math while I keep reading.
Okay.
One of the girls, when one of the girls was to die, there was an extraordinary silence in the castle and the ancient stronghold. Those who came to speak with the lady of the house were hurriedly briefed on the pretext of her ill-being. Immediately after dark, the victim was was sent to the cellar for wine, where Fiaco overpowered her and killed her with a knife. Elizabeth then hurried to the cellar with her maidservants, who carried the dead to the prepared bathtub. After the bath, Elizabeth went to the room where the maidens gathered clots of dried blood, which they would later use to wrap the body of the lady. The dwarf's task was to hide. I'm actually reading this from the quote. I'm using the word dwarf lightly. The dwarf's task was to hide the corpse of one of the numerous underground passages. Sometimes the Countess took a blood shower, which sounds kind of more efficient.
Oh, yeah. You can save more water that way.
Yes, true. On such occasion, young victim was closed in a cage, which was too low to stand and too narrow to sit, but full of studs. The cage was suspended in the ceiling. When the cage was rocking back and forth, the girl enclosed in it was torn to pieces between the studs. The so-called Iron Virgin was used sometimes too. The mannequin had 5 knives that slid out of the holes under the breast, stabbing the victim to death.
God.
And the young servant girl who died inside that cage was around 11 years old.
That's insane.
And Elizabeth actually wrote a letter, like a self-memoir about this, right? And she was like, too small.
Too small.
Yeah.
What could have been?
Yeah, basically saying, like, too weak. Like, we'll have to try someone larger next time.
So I looked it up. The average standard bathtub holds 640 to 800 pints, and there is 8 to 10 pints in a person.
Okay.
So you're looking at 64 to 80 people if they have if you get a full 10 pints of blood
My God.
to fill a bathtub.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
So what you're saying is showers are more efficient.
Yes.
Cycle the blood.
Oh, yeah,
Ugh,
because you keep them alive long enough, and then all you got to do is just get a little bit of a spurt, and then you can have it last as long as you need. Because I know me, I take some long showers, and I don't know about her, but you got to get your money's worth.
I don't take long showers at all. I can get this done pretty quick. 5 minutes in and out, I'm good. That's all I need.
I like a nice long shower.
We're getting distracted.
We are.
At that time, widow of the Naldache traveled a lot. She was usually left when the motor started to arouse suspicion among the locals. She visited Moravia, the Czech Republic, Austria, Poland. Whenever she was staying, girls immediately began to disappear, while their mutilated, covered with numerous wounds bodies were later found in the fields. It never occurred to anyone, though, to attribute those crimes to the Hungarian aristocrat and to her party, if you will. When the Countess noticed that blood of ordinary villagers gave a weak effect in improving the appearance of her complexion, she started to kill beautiful noble women from poor families. In 1609, she even opened an academy called, that's a fucking hard word, I forgot to look how to say up that, Gymnasium. When affluent parents began to inquire about the fate of their children, Elizabeth's ridiculous explanations began to arouse suspicion. Basically, families, say you're running the Great Sholand Swedish family, but you're of a lower social standing than me, but you're still an aristocrat, and you're like, I have a daughter that needs to learn how to be an aristocrat from a higher ranking family, and I was Elizabeth Bathory, I'd be like, I'll take her, I'll teach her how to be an aristocrat. And they'd be like, well, this is a great opportunity. And then they would send that child off to Elizabeth, and then they would hear nothing.
That's the definition of a trial by fire internship. Holy shit.
Yeah, and she would basically be like, "Oh, cholera," or she fell ill, or I don't know what was popular around this time. She was juggling swords and misstep, like, you know, fucking whatever. And at one
I don't
point,
know, was the plague popular around this
Yeah, I
time?
was just about to say the plague
I
might
don't
be a thing.
remember.
I don't think it starts just yet. Can you look when the Black Plague started? At one point, it was no longer possible to invent a cholera epidemic. Thus, an accident on the hunt was being given to the reason for victims' deaths. Moreover, Bathory fell into madness. It did not care for discretion anymore. When in the cellars there was no more room for graves of the next victims, the bodies of the dead were buried in shallow pits in the courtyard, like I talked about, or thrown into the castle moat, where hungry dogs pulled them out. That's a lot of bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Corpses were also transported by special carriage, while the remains were thrown around the area from its windows.
1346
So,
was when the start of the Black Death was, but then there was also like 2 other big plague pandemics after.
yeah, I mean, the cholera epidemic, but the Black Plague itself, I mean, it might have been going around this time. But yeah, basically she would just they would just dismember these basically children, and then these children, and then would just throw them out the fucking windows of the carriage as they drove around.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy, and it's like, I would think at a certain point in time, if it's aristocrats loaning their children to this lady, I feel like word would probably get around something's not right about her.
Oh, everybody's quite suspicious by this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, when things went too far, 12 various complaints were sent to the royal court, and the Hungarian King Matthias II initiated the investigation. In the spring of 1610, on behalf of the king and the parliament, the highest judge, György Thurzó, initiated a secret investigation. The witnesses were interrogated by investigators Moses Koreske and Andres Kresistur. 52 people were interviewed, most of whom confirmed there were suspicions. Basically, they kind of just walked around the castle grounds when she wasn't there, and was like, anyone see anything weird? And everybody was like, she's fucking dismembering kids and bathing in blood and stuff. And they're like, interesting. They're like, let's confirm this with somebody else. And then people started coming forward and being like, there's some fucking black magic happening inside. Can you please do something? They spoke about tortured or murdered girls and reported cases of cannibalism. Still, none of the interviewed saw it with their own eyes. It was all secondhand. Hey, person inside is my sister, and she told me that she saw XYZ. Or, hey, my friend works inside, and she saw XYZ. No one had an eyes-on thing yet. Report by pastors of Justice Bordeaux and Poinacuzzi, I'm butchering this, who discovered the bodies in the tunnels connecting the church and the castle, also helped the case. Initially, Thurzó intended to close the countess in the monastery. When Elizabeth began to threaten him with the support of the pro-Turkish Bathory Protectorate, led by Gabriel, who was just rebelling against the Habsburgs, which was the high royal family, the Palpatine was left with no other choice. He knew, however, that if he summoned the Countess to court and proved her guilty, her enormous fortune would be consecrated, mostly by the King of Hungary. And there is this part of the story is quite, this is the climax of it all, because they're finding bodies. People are telling stories of cannibalism, telling stories of black magic, of Satanism, of true Satanism, not plaque on the wall Satanism, trying to summon the devil. Thus, he made an agreement with Elizabeth Ayres. The Countess was to be caught red-handed so that she could not deny the crime. She would spend the rest of her life locked in her castle. Everyone waited for the most devious day, Christmas.
Oh, boy, does she got some gifts for you.
Yeah, so they actually waited a couple days after Christmas because everybody's probably celebrating Christmas. But
Sure.
on December 29th, 1610, Thurzio and his team entered the unguarded mansion under the castle. In front of Bathory's eyes, the Palpatine's people brought the bodies of victims into the courtyard. One of the girls was still alive. The highest judge kind of kneels down and goes, "Who did hurt you?" And the servant girl answers, goes, "A woman named Caitlin tore me with tongs, and the lady window Nadashe beat me with hand." When the Countess heard it, she tried to blame her servants. Quote, "I let them do it because I was afraid of them," she said. After a long search, about 50 corpses were found. The Countess was taken to the castle, and her 3 servants, as well as the Fiaiko, were brought for interrogation. There, they were tortured. Time is a circle.
Nice.
And their testimonies tried to blame one another, their mistress, and the late Dorvulia. But there's another story of how actually she was caught, and it's like one of those like theatrical, the way she was caught. It's like that Thurzio shows up, right? And lightning cracks among the dark skies.
Oh.
And they open the doors of the castle and just... And
Yeah.
she stands there, her hands and arms covered in blood around her mouth, and she just... and she just laughs and laughs and laughs until they eventually take her into custody.
Yeah.
Which is way scarier
Yes.
than just showing up and then bringing like a half dead woman and be like, "Who did this, dude?" She was like, "Her."
Yeah.
She did it. Like, oh, okay. So Fiaiko testified that the widow Nadashe, that Elizabeth, mistreated servants when the court was still alive, but when she hired Darvulia, she began to brutally murder her victims. According to her, she had personally murdered 37 girls. 3 servants in turn testified that the mistress had killed between 36 and 50 people, but it is alleged that Elizabeth Bathory had a register where she would write the names of every victim she killed. And that 36 to 50 count was actually much higher, and it was reaching up to 650.
Yeah.
Yeah. After the hearings, a 14-member court met to decide the fate of Elizabeth Bathory. And the final verdict came on January 7th, 1611. Elizabeth Bathory, you are charged with the following criminal offenses as well as your accomplices: sorcery, celebrating pagan rituals, and vampirism. Being one of the first nobles I can think of to be charged with vampirism.
Wow.
The Countess was sentenced to life imprisonment in her castle. Caitlin, due to the lack of evidence, was sentenced to life imprisonment, and the other servants sentenced to death. So Fiaiko, Ilona, and Toyota Shitsias were executed on the same day. Because of their young age, the dwarf was beheaded and then publicly burned, which I think is very strange.
Yeah.
You know, because you're so young,
We're gonna kill you the worst.
we're just gonna behead you and then burn you.
Yes.
Does that sound good?
Both of Elizabeth's helpers, due to the burden of their acts committed, were tortured before death. Borkosia of Majava was burned alive without questioning 2 weeks later on January 24th.
Wow.
Isn't that the most, like, fucking vampire movie you can think of?
Yeah.
They capture the vampire and they're like, "We sentence you to death." And then, like, not you, though. Just your servants, the ones who helped you. And they fucking burn them at the stake. They behead them. And they're like, "But you get to live."
You get to live.
You get to
carry
live.
on the story.
You get to live in your castle, by the way.
Oh, it's so much worse than that. So much worse.
Oh boy.
They didn't just put her in her castle. There was a specific place, obviously in the castle, where she was doing all the torturing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They locked her in there. That's where she gets to live.
Oh.
So, the main accused, Countess Elizabeth Bathory, was spared due to her aristocratic origins, as you might imagine. She was closed for a lifetime in an isolated room with only a small hole for food, which was her torture room. The widow of the Nautache lived for 3 more years. During that time, she protested against the verdict many times. Her letters prove that she had no remorse. The Countess was found dead on August 21st, 1614. Even today, her death is a mystery. Some say she was poisoned. Others say that she died of hunger because she was walled in a tower. According to legends, her body was in a terrible state. Her forearms had tooth marks, while the earth around her body was covered in blood. She was buried in the crypt of a church in Chestice. Until now, however, the body of the Countess was not found, which contributed to several conspiracy theories about her alleged escape. While I could go on or another tirade and talk about Vlad the Impaler, the inspiration for Dracula, I'll save that for another day, as I talked about. Instead, I want to talk about the actual first iteration of a vampire.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because you would think that it was in the mid 1600s. This is the first story that we know of vampirism, but vampires been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. In the mid 1600s, not too long after the death of Elizabeth Bathory. I think I wrote that wrong. In the this was actually she was the first, like, not the first, but this was like not too long after her death. In a village in Croatia, a terrifying beast was hunting, much like Elizabeth. Jor Grando, a local stonemason, father of 2 children, and wife to Vanya Grando, died. As you do around that time, you just kind of just die.
Yeah.
But soon, he rose from the dead.
Oh.
Legend says that for 16 years after his death, Jor will arise from his grave by night to terrorize the village like a vampire. The village priest, Jesus Christ, Giorgio, who had buried Jor 16 years previously, discovered that at night, someone would knock on the doors around the village. And whichever door he knocked, someone from that house would die within the next few days.
Oh.
Yes.
Don't answer the door.
Well, it doesn't matter. Just like, yes. Like, ow, no one ever answers the door. Oh, this is awkward. Sorry, who in your household is going to die? And it's like, what? It's like, never mind. Don't worry about it. I'm going to go back to my grave. So Jor also appeared to his terrified widow in her bedroom, he was described as a corpse, looking as though he was smiling and gasping for breath, and would actually sexually assault her. The corpse would. When Father Giorgio eventually came face to face with the vampire, it is just like a movie. He holds out the cross in front of him and yells, "Behold, Jesus Christ, you vampire! Stop tormenting us!" And it does nothing. It doesn't do a goddamn thing.
Surprise, surprise.
No, it doesn't do a damn thing, and that's a bit of a problem. So some of the villagers hear this, and they begin to chase down this vampire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. They chase him down, and they have a stick of hawthorn, like hawthorn wood.
Yeah.
And they go to stab it into his chest to kill him, and the stick makes contact and just breaks.
Oh.
Completely impervious to it.
Oh no.
And so, they're like, he pushes everyone off of him, flees into the woods, and disappears. Just one night later, a crew of 9 villagers went to the graveyard where Jor's body lay, carrying their lamps, a cross, and another hawthorn stick. They dug up the coffin and found the perfectly preserved corpse of Jor, a smile on his face. And Father Giorgio looked into his eyes and spoke. "Look, vampire, There is Jesus Christ who saved us from hell and died for us, and you, vampire, you cannot have peace. Once again, they tried to stab Jor in the chest with Hawthorne, but could not break through, which I don't know why he didn't try a different piece of wood. But they stabbed him in the chest. Nothing happened, so they go back to the drawing board, and they're like, all right, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And they were like, let's do an exorcism. So they go back, and they're standing over his corpse to do an exorcism. And Stepan Maliazek basically stands over him and goes, we'll just cut off his head. So they go get a saw, and they start to fucking saw his head off while he's in the coffin. And as soon as he tore into the flesh, the vampire screams an unholy scream, and blood begins to flow from the cut. And according to folklore, peace finally returned to the region after Jiro's decapitation.
Wow. My only thing that I've got to say is that if I saw that, if I saw somebody who was very clearly dead and they did that, I don't even care about ghosts. I don't care about aliens. That would be like, oh my God, what the hell are you? Like, get rid of this thing now.
Yeah.
I mean, around this time, everyone is incredibly religious, right?
Sure.
Like Catholicism at all high, devils and demons roam the earth. And
right.
You need to use the power of God to kill these creatures. And so imagine that you're like your friend Jo, right? Who was perhaps a friend of the community. You know, we don't know what his actual life was like. Maybe he was like, it was your friend, and, you know, he died, and you were, like, super sad about it. And then for 16 years, you're like, you keep seeing him, and we're like, maybe I'm just have the ghost of him haunts me. And then everybody's like, no, we fucking see him too. Like, you're going to be like, well, gotta cut the head off my friend, I guess.
Bill was a real great guy until I started seeing him every single day after his funeral. I forget the power of Christ. I'd need the power of Smith and Wesson, because I'd need to put that fucking thing down.
It would just be like Hellboy for me.
Oh yeah.
It would just be me loading like a big ass revolver full of like holy water rounds. Be like, I only got 5 of these. Like, don't make me miss. Like, I'm gonna be really upset if you make me miss.
Yeah, like I'm thinking there, if you're like a preacher in this day and age, it would be like that. What was that movie? It was like Legion or something, when they went around with like the badass priests going around taking out vampires.
Yeah, I think it was Legion.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be the vibe.
But it's time. Well, before we get into more vampires, Jo for sure is a vampire.
Yes.
That is a legend of a vampire that is written down. Is Elizabeth Bathory, or Elizabeth Bathory, is she a vampire, or is she just a crazy woman?
I think she's just a crazy woman.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Easily influenced, maybe. Because, I mean, there was obviously the guy that she was hanging out with.
Yeah, the Darvulia, the witch that helped her, or you're talking about her husband, Nadoshe? Because Nadoshe, her husband, was like, let's fucking kill people.
Well, I think that didn't help, but whoever was dressed in black with...
Yeah, that's the thing. There was no other part of that story that includes that individual.
Yeah, but...
It just makes it super fucking weird.
Yes.
But it is weird that... I don't know, she's hanging out with this guy who very clearly fits the...
vampire trope.
Yeah, and,
Vampire.
I don't know, maybe he convinced her somehow.
I don't think he needed that much convincing.
No, probably not. I would go as far to say is she may actually be, like... The term wasn't there at the time, but she's basically a serial killer.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, no.
And if not one of the most prolific.
For a long time, she actually held the Guinness Book World Record for the most prolific serial killer in history.
Who beat her?
There was some other, like, fucking person, like a king or something like that was killing a lot of people. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, time for more vampires.
Okay.
This time from the United States and an eBay listing.
Oh.
What? Okay.
Yeah, and I will actually share this eBay listing in, like, the description for you guys to go read, or, like, at least the screenshot of it, because it actually comes with an item, because it's eBay.
Okay.
Followers of the macabre, if you will, debate the validity of the case of Auguste Delagrange. Delagrange? Sure. Perhaps due to the almost complete lack of evidence, save a rather bizarre offering on eBay, much of which the story is unproven. Nonetheless, it is unlikely you will ever see this again. Our tale is set in New Orleans, Louisiana. The year is 1905, and a strange man by the name of Auguste Delagrange, was known to haunt the more seedier sides of the French Quarter in and around Rue Bourbon Street. By some accounts, he was a tall, gaunt man who never appeared to seek sunlight. He dressed in black always. In the bars and, quote, the house of ill repute, he made friends, as you might call it, with many prostitutes, pimps, and gamblers. Perhaps for a good reason.
He likes to party.
He likes to party. Can you blame him? He likes to party. I love to make you laugh. But after the summer of 1905, 1906, many of his friends will be found murdered in their homes. But not just murdered, butchered. Chopped up. Police found absolutely no blood, either on the remains or anywhere near the crime scene. In every part, it seems, the body was, quote, drained of blood and fluids. Police began to stake out Delagrange, given as the company of most of the victims when they were alive, but the police couldn't surveil him during daylight hours. They just couldn't find him.
Yeah.
The case drew attention of a rather radical Catholic priest. Radical in that he was friends with the local Hungon. I know I'm mispronouncing it and I do apologize, but local voodoo priest.
Voodoo, you voodoo.
Yes, you do. The two determined that Delagrange was a demonic entity, possibly that of a vampire. After many years of sleuthing, not like this last couple months, years, the two located the whereabouts of Delagrange, quote, found sleeping in a coffin. They staked him through his, quote, evil heart. Even when removing it, the vampire's body crumbled away, leaving only the foul organ, which was impaled on an oak stake. See, they should have used oak.
Yeah.
This was in 1912. Now, a matter of police evidence, there was none, because it was just these two priests killing vampires.
Yeah.
Of the many floods and hurricanes that plagued the Delta states, any record was lost, supposedly. But it was not until the mid-2000s that a rather strange item was offered up in all places. eBay. The anonymous seller stated that he or she was selling a wooden case which contained a preserved human heart. The organ had a large hole in it and was accompanied by a long, dried, blood-stained wooden stake. But even more of the oddness was the explanation of the Delagrange case, supposedly penned by two supernatural crime fighters in 1912. The box appeared to be of the correct age, but as for the heart, it is unclear how it was preserved, but it is human. And incidentally, it was purchased by an unknown buyer.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, Fred, we gotta like buy that thing and figure it out.
Yes, resurrect a vampire. I'm down.
I'm down too. That would definitely max out my bingo card for 2025 if vampires were out and about.
It's just them being like, I am from the year 1600 and I, Elizabeth Bathory, and they're like, what the fuck is McDonald's?
What the
It's like,
fuck is McDonald's?
listen, you can't just live off of gold and beating peasants anymore. You actually, unfortunately, got to start working a minimum wage job since you don't have any experience.
I'm gonna really blow your mind when I show you Tamagotchi.
You ever heard of Crazy Frog before?
Oh,
I'm gonna
there's
show
a
you
reference.
Crazy
early
Frog.
2000s brain rot.
Oh my god.
You ever heard of, you know what crabcore is? Just like showing videos of like old school asking Alexandria.
You're gonna lose your mind when I show you Nyan Cat.
What is this strange thing? Pictures, but they move?
Yeah, this one's of a cat with a Pop-Tart for a body and a rainbow's coming out.
Exquisite.
But so.
I want to drink its blood immediately.
No, you can't.
Okay.
It's not real. It's not real. But
You're not
apparently
real.
You are real.
As for our final real-life vampire, it is that of a Belakis. Pretty cool name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Belakis was born in Izyak, Austria, Hungary. Is he familiar?
Yeah.
To Janos Kiss and Veronia Varga. A tinsman, Belakis lived in Kinkota, then near Budapest, now a neighborhood within the city itself, from the year 1900 and on. According to Magyar Nemzet, in 1907, Belakis, a tinsman in Sinkota, unmarried, lives in a furnished apartment, has his own business as a tinsmith, and is regularly employed by his business partners. He is of good character, he's not in debt, and he was not insolvent. He always fulfills his obligations, and his lifestyle is solid and can be offered for credit. Basically, pretty cool guy, according to his friends.
Yeah.
Right? Like, comes, does his work. Nice guy. You know, we hang out sometimes. We sit there and watch paint dry. That's the only thing to do in 1900s. He was an amateur astrologer and allegedly fond of occult practices.
Okay.
Good start. Kiss was married twice and had 2 children, Aranka and Ilonka. In 1912, Kiss hired a housekeeper, Miss Jakubik, after his wife had reportedly abandoned him for a lover. So, not going great in the old Kiss household. Jakubik noticed that Kiss corresponded with a number of women. Typically through advertisements, he would place a newspaper offering his services as either a matrimonial agent or a fortune teller, and sometimes he brought the women individually to his home. However, his housekeeper had little contact with the women. Basically, you know, just kind of being like, around this time of the age of spiritualism, it's kind of dying down, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's still around that time, so I can imagine just putting in a newspaper and being like, I'll read your fortune and tell you what exists in the great beyond. It's death. So
Usually.
you die. So Kiss was never on intimate terms with his neighbors, even though he was well liked. Townsfolk also noticed that Kiss had collected a number of metal drums. When the town's police questioned him about the drums, he told them that he filled them with gasoline to prepare for the rationing for the oncoming war. When World War I began in 1914, he conscripted and left his house to the maid's care. When Bella Kiss's landlord poked a hole in one of the tenant's barrels, he was overwhelmed by the smell of death.
Oh my god.
According to an article published in Neprizyava, I don't know how you fucking said that, on May 10th, 1960. I can say that, I can't say other things. Insane. Referring to a police inspector's report, Martin Krasinski, the owner of the house rented by Kiss, wanted to renovate the building. So he went to Sinkota, where Kiss's neighbors and old acquaintance of Krasinski, Bella Taxis, a pharmacist, told him that Kiss had gone to war in 1914. In such material redecoration, the two men went to the chamber next to discuss Kiss's workshop, where Takius said there had been a large quantity of reeds. In the chamber, they found 7 tin drums, stacked 1 meter long and 50 centimeters wide. The air tight on top of the barrel, sealed with lead, and had been loosened with an axe, and was pried open. A terrible stench emanated from it. After the tin barrel top was removed, a bag was found and pulled out of the cylinder. A woman's body was found sewn into the bag.
Ooh.
Another barrel was also punctured. from which a corpse smell emanated and a lock of blonde hair fell out.
Ooh.
Graziensky and Tekias then informed the authorities. Gayulia Zirkia, the chief notary, together with police officers, found a female body in each of the 7 barrels. The search of Kiss's house resulted in a total of 24 bodies being found. And the famed Austrian-Hungarian author Frigyes Kateri was present and described the following. I stood there in the cemetery in Kiskotka in front of 10 barrels and watched one by one as the contents of the open barrels were poured out onto an autopsy table. 10 barrels of different lengths, equally tinned precisely with continuous work. Those who opened the first barrel did not doubt for a moment that their contents were the same, although this assumption was met with unimaginable horror. And for those of us who were there at the opening, all of us took it for granted that a small woman fell to the ground from a smaller barrel, and a larger one from a larger one. And after the second barrel, we knew how to turn the barrel, how deep to reach, and where to grab the string on the neck that emerging from the female head, where the loop is, where it leads down to the legs, and how they were knotted. This is how proper precise collector works, and one who understands his craft, and that he likes order.
Wow.
So, a man by the name of Charles Nagy, head of detectives in Budapest, informed the military that they should arrest Kiss immediately if he was still alive, and there was also a possibility that he was a prisoner of war. His name, unfortunately, was very common. Nagy also arrested the housekeeper and asked the postal service to hold any possible letters for Kiss in case that he had an accomplice who was trying to warn him. The detective initially suspected that the housekeeper might have had something to do with the murders, especially since Kiss had left her money in his will. And Jakubek, the maid, assured police that she knew absolutely nothing about the murders, and she showed them a secret and locked room that Kiss told her never to enter. So naturally they enter it. Just fucking kick in the door.
As you do.
The room is filled with bookcases and had a desk which held numbers of letters. Kiss corresponded with 74 women in a photo album. Many of the books were about poisons or strangulation, which seems like a really weird that you need a book for strangulation. Seems like pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Poison, sure, I get that, but strangulation, just do it. Anyway, from the letters, the detective discerned several things. The oldest of the letters were from 1903. It became clear that Kiss was defrauding the women, usually middle-aged, who had been looking for marriage. He had placed ads in the marriage columns of several newspapers and had selected mainly women who had no relatives living nearby and no one who would quickly notice their disappearance. He wooed them, convinced them to show him the money. Police also found old court records that indicated that the two victims had initiated court proceedings because he had taken money from them. Both women disappeared and their cases dismissed. Each woman who came to the house was strangled. Kiss pickled their corpses in alcohol and sealed them in airtight metal drums. Police found that their bodies had puncture marks on their necks and that their bodies were drained of blood.
Oh, wow.
Which led them to believe that Kiss was practicing none other than vampirism.
Wow. My immediate thought during all of this is, if this is like happening like when World War I is going on, what would have been like the appeal honestly of like let's take this guy, send him to the Russian front, or like, hey, the Italians are really giving us some trouble in the Alps, let's just let this guy run free and see what he can do.
Well, you can't just stalk the enemy like that.
Well, yes, that is true.
But I have definitely brought in that idea before. I've thought about that idea of like getting some of the most dangerous people on death row, and then you make like a Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And you're like, you guys love killing people, right? And they're like, yeah. And we're like, what if you guys would get fucking paid for it?
I mean, Vladimir Putin did that with his whole entire prison system.
He did. Yeah, and you know, fucking look out, turned out for them.
yeah, did not turn out well. They came home and were as monstrous as they ever were.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Can never fucking can never hear the sound of like a bee the same ever again. You know?
No.
They're like, look at me at.
Yeah, the
Like, ah! Waking up
drones, man.
30 years from now, and they wake up in a cold sweat, and their kids watching Drone Racing League, and they're like,
my God.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Fucking clankers. Good fun.
I fought in the Great Robot Wars. Anyway, on October 4th, 1916, the detective received a letter stated that Kiss was recuperating in a Serbian hospital. However, the detective arrived at the hospital too late. Kiss had fled and left the corpse of another soldier in his bed.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness.
The detective alerted Hungarian police, but all alleged sightings police investigated were false. On several later occasions, speculation rose that Kiss had perhaps faked his death by exchanging identities with a dead soldier named Macari during the war. He was reportedly cited numerous times in the following years. Various rumors circulated to his actual fate, including that he had been imprisoned for burglary in Romania, or he had died of yellow fever in Turkey. In 1920, a soldier in the French Foreign Legion reported on another legionnaire named Hoffman. The man named Kiss had used some of his letters, who had boasted how good he was at using a garrote, and who fit Kiss's description. Hoffman deserted before police could reach him, disappearing in the wind again. The last known sighting of Kiss occurred in New York City in 1932. That year, the homicide detective name of Henry Oswald, private eye. Nah, he's an actual detective. Was certain he had observed Kiss emerging from a New York City subway in Times Square, Manhattan. There was also rumors that Kiss was living in the city prior and working as a janitor, although these could not be verified. When police went to interview the janitor, he had already left. Kiss's eventual fate is unknown, and his exact number of victims is the same. But one thing is certain: sometimes it's not vampires or lycanthrope that go bump in the night, but a deranged madman or madwoman lusting for blood.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
That's good.
Vampires.
He definitely would have been around to. Is there like any portraits of him or anything?
There's a photo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because like I feel like after I saw that, how trippy would it be if I had seen that person and I'm like, oh no, he's still around. He's still doing it.
What it sounds like to me is I got really inspired by the story of the Catholic priest and the voodoo priest getting together in New Orleans to go kill a vampire. It sounds like we got to go to New York and go hunt a vampire.
Shit, man, I'm on board.
I want to go to New York anyways.
Yeah.
I got other things I want
Taylor
to
can go have like a fun like vacation, then me and Bill can wear like cool like black trench coats and like stakes and shit in it. Just be like, smell blood, and like throwing fucking stakes in the dark. They explode.
I'll bring a friend too, so
Have
that
you-
way I'm not alone in New York while you guys are doing that.
We're hunting vampires.
Well, and
Come on vampires with us. It'll be super cool.
Gooey.
We're gonna listen to techno.
we could listen to techno, and I think we definitely, because we got to do it, we got to get an Italian to like make us some like awesome pizzas, and you know they got some garlic,
Tay?
so we can make it happen.
See? Looks
Here
like
we
you're
go.
part of the plan.
Mamma mia!
I'm only making pizzas. I'm not a part of the hunt. I'm just making pizzas.
The hideout gets crashed by vampires, and it's just Taylor making pizzas. It's like, you want to fuck a pizza or not?
I got a lot of garlic in here, guys.
Get the fuck out of here if you're not gonna order a pizza.
What the hell's wrong with
And
you?
it's like, all right. I guess like perhaps we can sit for maybe 30 minutes. Is that something? Like maybe have a couple slices of pizza. Then we'll go hunt more people.
That's what our health potions will be. Will just be pizza slices.
Yeah, health potion. Meanwhile, just laying on the floor like so bloated. Oh, we ate like 15 pizzas. I don't think I want to have vampires anymore. I think I just want to like cry.
I feel like the vampires are not gonna even want your blood. They're gonna be like, dude, you are like kind of fucking gross.
You honestly have a lot of heart disease, and it's just like like you ever have like milk that's expired and it's kind of chunky? It's like that.
Ew.
Like it's not like technically it's still milk, but it's not. It's more cottage. That's basically what your blood is. Your blood's cottage cheese.
Oh, dude. Cottage cheese blood. It would be like literally the worst.
Feel your blood moving.
Ugh.
But wasn't that fun?
Yeah.
Real life vampires.
Yeah.
Who was the most vampiric of them all? Anyone?
I definitely.
Probably the last guy.
Billy Kiss,
Yeah. I couldn't remember his first name.
the man who was putting people in barrels, the women in barrels,
Yeah.
consuming their blood, perhaps. Bill.
Yeah, I was gonna say either him or the one just before him. I feel like.
Oh, Delagrade.
Yeah, I feel like.
Delagrange.
I think both of them definitely are in the running, and it's like, especially too with Billy Kiss, he was around for so many distinctive big moments where it's like, imagine if history had actually been made by him. Like what if it wasn't the one dude who got Franz Ferdinand and it was actually him? That would be trippy.
Sparking the war off. That'd be
Yes.
crazy.
I'm gonna change my mind. The real vampire is Keanu Reeves.
Oh,
True.
Yes.
That man
real.
has not aged a fucking day, bro. Insane.
The
Seems
real
like
vampire is
seems
Nandor
like a great dude,
de
but-
Laurentiis. The real vampire, Nandor the Relentless, or De Laurentiis as they called him. Have you seen what we do in the shadows?
I've heard of the show. I haven't seen it.
The show is so good.
I think you would love it. It's
So stupid. I like when they throw the rice, and a big myth in vampires is that they have to count each grain of rice.
Oh my
like,
god.
yeah, like you're such a piece of shit, and just like
Well,
counting
like-
all the rice.
Well, like that's like a huge thing in vampiric lore for whatever fucking reason. But like in the show, they're just like, we don't have to. I'm gonna count it just to make sure. It's so stupid. It's my favorite. Why they have to count grains of rice, I don't know. But you imagine like if you had a vampire roommate, like, and they're pissing you off, so you're just like,
Just throw a bunch
Go
of rice
get
on
it.
the ground.
Be like, hey buddy, it's Uncle Ben's night, and guess who's counting it out?
If you fucking throw rice on the ground again, I swear to God, I will feast on your blood until you are empty.
oh no,
You motherfucker! God damn it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I lost count. Fucking damn it! God
I
damn
will
it!
throw the rice if you quit ruining the fucking bathtub, dude. It was one thing when you were bringing all of your dates through here. It's another thing that I have to clean up the aftermath every single time.
Well, like,
he just sounds like a bad
I
roommate.
can't just
Yeah.
put blood into the fucking water dispenser, can I? Because last time I did, you complained.
You could be neater about it.
I mean, like, you could just...
I'd rather you just throw the rice.
I'd rather you just throw the rice.
Yeah, we're getting... This is honestly,
like one of the 20-pound Costco size.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you want me to throw the rice?
no, do not throw the rice. Don't.
I just did a Costco trip. So.
God damn it. Don't.
Maybe clean up after yourself, and I will have to throw
I
a
will
20-pound
do no.
bag.
I am a creature of the night. I am the harbinger of death and
Okay, you know
destruction.
what?
God damn it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
That'll keep him busy for about a week, right?
Yeah. Yeah, let's get out of here, because...
He's gonna be pissed when he's done.
oh, yeah.
40, 50. Wait. Fuck! Oh, I never learned how to count. Which is ironic, because I am a count.
Yeah. Can't count.
Yeah, one of my favorite bits from that show was when him and Naja and oh my god, Laszlo are walking through like Central Park.
Oh,
And they're dressed all Victorian, and he's like, "Good evening to you, sir." And the guy's like, "Go back to your own fucking country." And he's like, "What the fuck did you just say to me?" And turns around and fucking grabs him. But yes,
It's just so stupid.
I
love
think
it.
the most vampiric of them all was the true vampire, true real life vampire, would be that of the Bloody Countess.
Oh, yeah.
I think she is the most vampiric of them all. The other ones, perhaps they were drinking blood. The other stories of vampires rising from the grave, if that is true, that's a real vampire.
Yeah.
But like this, if he was drinking blood, not just draining the blood, that's real life vampire. We don't know. And then of course the Delagrade, who might have been possibly a vampire living in New Orleans, which is a perfect place for a vampire to live.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that she was the most vampiric of them all. And I think that her kill count was much higher than the 50. Than they said.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was in the 600s.
No, I wouldn't.
Just
be
fucking.
either.
I mean, she was going from place to place to place to place, just killing people.
I'll
You
do
know,
whatever
even
she
if she was just
wanted.
showing up to go visit other aristocrats and was like, "Can you bring me that servant girl? I would like to borrow her for the evening." And they were like, "Fuck it, go ahead." Like, like we'll pay off the family, it'll be fine. And then they find her drained body in the fucking ditch, and they're like, she was with Elizabeth. Nah, sure, just a coincidence. And then they let her just do it for 20 years.
Insane.
Yeah.
She was a frail girl. She didn't stand a chance.
Didn't stand a chance. Yeah. Well, fuck it. That doesn't help when you have like the fucking Suicide Squad of vampires. You know, you have a blind witch, a woman that's described as like a hunchback dwarf, another woman who loved cutting off fingers. It was like all of like those super villains of women combining together.
God, yeah. That's
like-
a Marvel movie waiting to happen.
Like, Elizabeth, I'm so sorry of the loss of your
That
husband.
seems more like DC.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right.
Elizabeth, I'm so sorry of the loss of your husband. It is quite sad. But have you considered, I don't know, killing everyone? It's like, you know what? No, I haven't.
I'm always looking for a new hobby.
You know, most people take up painting around that time. You know? Or like, I don't know, painting?
Yeah.
Trying to think of other things to do in the 1600s other than die. But yeah, I thought that was a very fascinating story in the look of vampirism.
Yeah.
And it's just the start of October
Hell yeah.
when this comes out, of course. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to telling more spooky stories. And if you enjoy this, let us know. Rate us 5 stars, listening app, like, share, subscribe. You know the business. You want to follow us directly, you can at HGOPodcast. On pretty much everything. And then want to send us hate mail, you can. Or send us your vampire story. Send me your gross vampire fan fiction, and I'll read that on the podcast. Please.
You're gonna get so much Twilight fanfic.
Oh my God.
That's fine. If you send me gross vampire fan fiction, I'll read it on the show.
We live for Rule 34 over here.
You can send that to HGOPodcast@gmail.com. If you want to follow me directly, you can at iHuntTheHaunted on Instagram and TikTok. That's Twitch and stuff like that. But that's not important. Pass it off to Tim.
Hi, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch at Lunar Thrill. I don't stream much, but I would like to get better at it. I just have to not be so tired all the time. You can also follow our dog at Spirit the Turv on
Spirit the
Instagram. That's all I got. Bill, it's your turn.
And as always, keeping it thrilling. Thrill of Bill is my handle on TikTok and Snapchat. That's where I'm most often.
Yes. And remember to stay spooky.
Stay haunted.
And if you ever crave the lust for blood, if you ever wish to consume the life energy of a human like that of the vampire, do what most do when you have that feeling. Become a congressman. All right. All right, bye.
Okay, bye.